So again, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today's panel. It's truly heartwarming to see so many residents, administrators, and staff from across our community chapters gathered with a shared purpose, and that is advancing environmental sustainability. One of SAFE's central goals is to foster collaboration between residents and community management. We've seen time and again that meaningful progress toward reducing greenhouse gas emissions doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when residents and administrators work together, share information openly, and align environmental goals with practical realities. Today's panel shines a light on that partnership in action. We'll hear from leaders who are finding creative ways to weave sustainability into campus planning, daily operations, and community culture. As you listen, I invite you to reflect not only on what is being achieved, but also on what makes collaboration work and how each of us can help strengthen that bridge within our own communities. Okay, so Jenna, let's go ahead and spotlight the panelists, and I will explain what comes next. So I can help you because I see Lisa right there, and you may have to hunt everyone else down and join me here on the spotlight. So what we're going to do is start with some quick introductions from our panelists. And believe me, I would love to spend more time hearing everyone's full story, but to keep things moving, I'll ask each person to share just a few details, their name, title, and community, and to make it a little bit more interesting, a phrase, keyword, or motto that captures their perspective on sustainability in senior living. So this part of the session is being recorded. Please try to stay muted so we don't pick up any background noise. And all right, again, panelists, please share your name, title, community, and that short phrase, motto, or keyword that reflects your approach to sustainability in senior living. For example, my phrase is ripple effect because what happens on one campus truly inspires others. So if you don't mind, let's start with Ann Gillespie, followed by Phil Jean, then Lisa Marsilio, and last but not least, Glen Lewis. Okay, over to you, Ann.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. I'm Ann Gillespie, and I serve as the CEO of Collington, which is a Kendal affiliate located just outside of Washington, D.C. I would say that my phrase is being good ancestors together.
Love it. Okay, Phil.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to be here. My name is Phil Jean. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Piper Shores in Scarborough, Maine. And my word would be partnership. I think we partner with so many organizations in addition to our residents and our board to make great things happen.
Okay, Lisa.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisa Marsilio. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Kendal Crosslands Community. And my words are balance, values, and culture.
Okay, Glen Lewis.
Good morning, everyone. I am Glen Lewis. I'm the Chief Executive Officer at RoseVilla in Portland, Oregon. Happy to be a part of this group and feel honored to be in attendance to this. My phrase would be the opportunity to leave a legacy, leave the place better than we found it.
Oh, I love all of these phrases and mottos. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing those. Apologies for the brief introductions, but we want to spend as much time on these questions as possible. So now we'll move into the guided discussion portion of our panel. I have 4 prepared questions that I'll be asking in turn. And for each one, I'll invite our panelists to respond, giving everyone a chance to share their perspective. So panelists, if you could try to keep your answers to 2 or 3 minutes, if you can, that would be wonderful. And for the sake of consistency, I think I'm just going to maintain the same order that we started the introductions with. So first Ann Gillespie, then Phil Jean, then Lisa Marsilio, and then Glen Lewis. And that question is, what sustainability initiatives are currently being prioritized at your community?
So let me preface this by saying that everything we do around sustainability, we do together with our residents, being led by our sustainability committee. And happy to say that 3 of our Collington residents serve on the SAFE board. So we have a lot of leadership on our campus around sustainability, for which I am very, very grateful. So I'll give you 2 shorter term projects that we're working on and then 1 longer term. The first one is a composting project. So we started this about a year ago, and this is a collaboration with our sustainability committee, our foundation. We raised about $90,000 for this project, as well as our culinary and facilities team. And we also partnered with a commercial composting partner in the DMV area. So we're providing bins, collection services, and monthly impact reporting. So obviously the goal here is to significantly reduce landfill-bound food waste and contribute to lower methane emissions and improved soil health. There's a lot of engagement, a lot of education. We're in that phase right now where we're transitioning, and this is a change for people in their daily habits. So we've had to do a bit of education and adjusting and readjusting. But there's been a lot of celebration as well. So that's one short-term project. The second short-term project is a Zipcar partnership with Zipcar. And the idea here is to reduce the number of cars on campus. So our residents did an interest survey and received about 120 responses. And 56 out of the 122 or so responses said that they would either definitely or probably give up their cars if they had easy access to a Zipcar. So that's another short-term project. Our long-term project is a campus expansion project. We're going to have shovel in the ground about a year from now. And so we're doing a lot of planning with our sustainability committee around how to start to integrate sustainability efforts into the project plan. So for instance, we're going to go all electric with our appliances in all of our new independent living units. We're doing an energy audit in 2026 ahead of construction starting. And we're also closely working with our architects and our construction company because they are the subject matter experts around sustainable materials and other opportunities to build sustainability into our expansion project. So that's it for Collington.
Sorry, Phil Jean, you're muted. We both muted ourselves.
There we go. All right. Again, thanks for the opportunity. I echo what Ann said. It's great to be here today. And, when I used the word partnership earlier, I think that word is really apropos to what we do here in general. But our sustainability initiatives really have taken off over the last few years. It was something that was included as part of our board strategic plan. It became an imperative for the community. And we have just blossomed over the last several years because of the partnerships that we have with our residents, with the staff, and of course with external partners as well. And it's been just profound for us as an organization. I would look back at our sustainability plan that we developed a few years ago and sort of try to pick certain things that I thought were noteworthy. So a few of them that I think for us really stick out would be, one is some ecological landscaping projects. We've been looking towards redoing some new gardens with native plants. Over at our new Meadows campus across the street, which opened a few years ago, is a substantial multi-year project to develop a large meadow restoration, which is pretty significant. So the project is in full swing and will continue over the next several years to really get us to where we want to be. Part of that includes a significant work on removal of invasive species, again, which is pretty significant on both of our campuses. One thing that's sort of relatable is we are currently talking about how we change our fall cleanup practices. I think many people think about getting rid of all the leaves that fall, and we're talking about how we use those leaves instead of disposing of them, and that's sort of evolving. Looking at greenhouse gas inventory, carbon footprinting, we partner with University of New Hampshire through their fellow program, looking at developing at scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions and developing an actual tracking tool. That's something that we did, and it's updated through 2024. We partner with EcoMaine, even though we had a great recycling program on our campuses. We partnered with this multi-family recycling initiative so that we could really try to make sure that we're doing the best we can with residential waste auditing and reduction, and that's been very successful. And then the last one I'll finish on, which was new to us this year, and it's something that's simple, but it was very, very impactful, is having a seasonal farm stand. And we partnered with 2 local nonprofit organizations and able to do that. And they were here on a weekly basis, and we just finished it about a week or 2 ago. So that was really a very interesting initiative for us.
Wow. So I'm just thinking we're going to have to interview people for the newsletter because there's just so many amazing things happen. And I just love that. So much partnership. Okay, Lisa.
Thank you, Michelle. And it's so wonderful to hear what everyone's doing, and it's an exciting time for all. And, when I was sitting down and meeting with my team and trying to get everything together and talking to some of our residents, I realized how much we've been doing. When our campus is 52 years old, it's so hard to believe. And I reflected back to go forward. So I looked at some of the great initiatives that we put into place. And I think we've embraced every ounce of our land with the utmost responsibility. When I looked at some of the lead initiatives we've done, the 48 homes that we put geothermal in, the solar panel initiatives that we've been doing over the years with a goal of 300 panels. And most notably, we just broke ground last year on one of the biggest projects we've had on our campus in a very long time, a $56 million renovation project to a newly reimagined health center, a new way to develop that we developed into our care delivery system. And what we learned as we were starting into the developmental phases of that is that you can't do it alone, and you need to bring in the industry experts to really help you understand. So we partner, and we partner with, Scott Pusey, to help us to better understand what sustainability initiatives we could put in to this new health center that helps to maintain our envelope and maintain it appropriately. And so I'm happy to report that we are minimizing our heating, our cooling, and our losses by putting in Energy Star and zero energy ready programs into this new building. We're already through phase 1. We have residents moved in, and we have our independent living units already up and running. So now we have 2 more years of this project. Also, we have partnered with Pretty Wind, and we are having wind turbines through our partnership in Texas. It's a 3-year contract that we've initiated. This will be the first year of the 3 years. And we're also working with our natural land and conservation, really looking at the building envelope. Our natural lands are 500 acres, ensuring that we get rid of all the invasives and really maintain the beauty of our land is very, very important to our residents. When I went through all the initiatives that we did, and whether it's the composting initiative and through partnerships, we're going to be expanding that one currently. Right now, we have good neighbors with Longwood Gardens, and we're very close to making that expansion happen and rebuilding. And when you rebuild from the inside out, you look at every energy efficient appliance and heat pump and panel that you can rebuild your community with to ensure that you are energy efficient.
Wow, thank you so much, Lisa. And next, Glen Lewis from RoseVilla.
Thanks, Michelle. It's so good to hear what everybody is doing. And I continue to hear resonating throughout all of the conversations. What continues to percolate for me is the partnerships that are created both on and off campus. So RoseVilla At RoseVilla, we are very much in that same position, partnerships with our residents who really drive this. I tell our residents all the time, we have an extremely active green team at RoseVilla and a resident population that really lives into these core values and respects these core values of minimizing our imprint on the earth. And I tell them all the time, wow, you push hard on us, continue to push hard on us, because I think the important thing is when you know that you have a resident population that is pushing on you like that, you know you are aligned and going, and it gives the administration confidence to continue to move those initiatives forward. At RoseVilla, we have been doing a lot, and I feel fortunate as the CEO of RoseVilla that I came into a community that had already created a very solid footprint of what it had already done in the sustainability and resiliency space. But for us, I guess where I would start is we just completed a new 5-year strategic plan for RoseVilla that was voted on by the board and participation at all levels in our organization. One of our pillars and our initiatives is that we do have future development coming into RoseVilla, and we made a decision as an organization that we already have 2 net zero neighborhoods that we built at RoseVilla. And we made a conscious decision as an organization that we will not build anything going forward unless it is a net zero building or net zero environment. And so that is a big initiative for us. We actually have hopes and dreams and aspirations of maybe even one of those achieving Living Building Challenge certification. So we are really pushing the envelope there. We recently had, through a unfortunate event, we had a garage burn down on our campus at RoseVilla. And instead of building the garage back to a traditional garage, through our 25-year resiliency action plan, we had identified about 11 spots throughout our campus to build what we call our Rose Ports, which are, a parking structure that has solar power on them, backup power sources, and potable water filtration systems on there with a rainwater collection system. And these are designed to be hubs throughout our campus that serve a primary purpose, i.e. a parking structure, but also offer resiliency and backup sustainability efforts, resiliency for our community. We completed that project by rebuilding the garage into our first Rose Port on campus, and that is now done. And we actually have a ribbon cutting ceremony for that coming up next week. So that has been huge for us this year to complete that. With one completed, we now are planning our second Rose Port, which we hope to have done and built into our capital planning processes and budget for 2026, moving that forward. We're also working on, we converted all of our passenger vehicle fleet at RoseVilla in 2025 to 100% electric vehicles. So we got rid of all internal combustion engines in our passenger vehicle fleet and moved to 100% electric vehicles. We also recently completed, although not fully done, we installed 12 high-speed EV charging stations at the front of our campus, for not just our resident and team member population, but also anyone in the area using electric vehicles. We're pushing towards a resident car sharing program at RoseVilla, which would be 100% funded by RoseVilla and have electric vehicles available for residents to, surrender their automobiles and have access to a vehicle to be able to, meet their needs. And we're in the middle of a new 10-year master planning process. And through that master planning process, we have a partnership with Green Hammer, which is a local architecture firm focused on sustainability and resiliency. They have been a partner for us for both net zero neighborhoods, a partner for us who built the Roseport, designed and built the Roseport. And they are leading us through this master planning process that takes sustainability and resiliency at its heart of everything we do through our 10-year master plan. So that is everything that is going on and continuing to go on at RoseVilla. And I just appreciate our resident board and partnerships that we have that allow us to do this great work.
Well, thank you so much. That is incredibly heartening to hear each one of you and your dedication to sustainability. So let's move on to the next question. And the next question is, what challenges make implementation difficult at the leadership level? And I'm going to start again with Anne.
So I would say with almost everything, right, it's resourcing. It's financial and human resources. So prioritizing and then making choices, sometimes those are tough decisions to make. And working closely with our sustainability committee over the past few years. I started in July of 2019, and we had our first sustainability long range plan on my desk 3 weeks later. So we've been at this for a while, and it's not always easy, even when you have a collaborative approach to decision making, to understand that there are limited resources and you need to think outside the box and creatively together about how to make those choices. So I would say for me that is the number one challenge as a leader working with our community is understanding where the resources will come from and sometimes sequencing or phasing the work so that it eventually gets done. But knowing that the choices have to be made and prioritized. So that's what I would say around the challenge.
And I wanted to come back to you and just ask, with your out of the box solutions, do you have any examples, some quick examples of what, like maybe that you look to?
Well, I think about one, and that is we went to a no chemical approach with our landscaping. And so that meant we had lots of weeds that were popping up all over campus. And so we, I guess, took a divide and conquer approach. And we have this incredible group of weed warriors who work every weekend on literally hand pulling the weeds, along with our landscape contractor who does some of that work as well. So that was, an immediate priority. We all agreed it was a priority. And we jumped out of the box and said, okay, well, how are we going to get this done?
I love it. Thank you so much. Creative. Thank you. All right, Phil, the question, what challenges make implementation difficult at the leadership level?
Yeah, I mean, I think Anne was spot on, and I'd imagine that all four of us would probably have a similar answer. It's resource management, both human resource as well as capital resources. I think the other thing that it would, for me, would come up would be define it as maybe differing expectations across the community from residents and staff in terms of timing and resources. Where should emphasis be? What should the focus be? Do we need to reassess what our priorities are? And if so, what does that look like in terms of what do we substitute out in order to make something else a priority? And I think that's what we do all the time, right? This is not unique to sustainability. This is sort of what we do as organizations every day. It's about just shifting resources and priorities all the time. For us, I'll give an example. When we opened our Meadows campus a few years ago, part of that development was a Meadows landscape. And to be honest, it was a failure. It did not go off as planned for a whole host of reasons. In order to get it to where it needs to be, and really with the influence of residents who know far more than oftentimes we do about these matters, in a lot of education, it became really apparent that in order to fulfill our promise and to really get this project to where it needs to be was going to be a multi-year project that involved a lot of steps and a lot of money. And as an organization, our board, leadership, we've made a commitment to doing that project and are right in the thick of it, as I sort of mentioned earlier, and are proud that we're going to fulfill that project and bring it to a level that it really deserves.
Oh, wow. Wonderful. I love that example. Thank you. Lisa.
I think this has to be one of my favorite questions. And that's why I said the word balance, because you have to balance every single thing, because there's many competing priorities. And when you sit in the seat, that's how you have to look at it. And I think we do a really good job. The residents, the board, the staff, the leadership team is very collaborative. And we try very, very hard to explain it, the why behind why we're going to prioritize this project first. And I think it has all to do with strategy. And I try to explain that because if we don't have a strategic plan, or we don't have a land management plan or a sustainability plan, and have a strategy in the way in which we approach things, then you're scattered and you're going all over the place, right? So formalizing our plans is going to be critical. We are just taking our plan to the board for approval on our next 5-year strategic plan. And what we have put together is more formalization, because I think that will become critical. Every project we take, we want to look at it from a sustainable end, but also from a financial end. I don't mind putting a little bit money in now to save a lot more money going forward, but sitting at a table with your board and your CFO and explaining that, right? But knowing the quantifiable data and the points and in your explanation really makes it easy, right? It makes it a slam dunk to get the project through and approved. So I have to say it's all about planning and balancing and communicating, and in collaboration, certainly with our residents. And I do have a tremendous amount of support with the sustainability committees and the way in which we work, and the energy committees. And I think, we've gotten through many things, and I think we'll get through many more. But I have to say, balancing the residents' expectations is always the biggest challenge any CEO can face in this industry.
I really can imagine so. That sounds just about what I would expect. That's tough to do. All right, Glen Lewis.
Thanks, thanks, Michelle. I feel like I'm going to also say resources are certainly that part of the challenge. I will just say, piggybacking on what Lisa talked about, what's been incredibly valuable for us as an organization is completing that 5-year strategic plan and having a pillar within that strategic plan that's agreed upon, that sustainability and resiliency are a key pillar and a key initiative for the organization. We have agreed consent that that's the direction that we're going as an organization. And we do have action items under that, certainly, and those may, shift or change based upon resources and allocations and all of that kind of stuff. But that's been extremely valuable for me as a leader, for the board, and I think for our residents as well. And it is about prioritizing. Sometimes these projects, and certainly, I'm not here to get in a political discussion, but the reality is, we're facing a time where rollbacks of environmental initiatives, incentives, and those types of opportunities are being rolled back or have been rolled back significantly. And so we have to get more creative in how we're looking at things. We have to evaluate those processes differently. I feel fortunate that we reside in Oregon, where Oregon is very, very strong in that area and continues to look for ways to incentivize businesses and organizations to support environmental initiatives. But it's caused us, I just think about the landscape of construction, right? I mean, 3-4 years ago, it was a very different landscape of the types of opportunities through various incentives and various initiatives that were there that are not there anymore. And so I think the key to it is understanding it's still a priority, remaining committed to it, getting creative through partnerships and resources. But that's one of the hardest things right now. And I think staying true to that is really true.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone's transparency, and so we can have the best perspective as possible on what challenges you face. So let's move on to the next question, which is, where do you see opportunities for further impact or innovation? Anne, I'm going to start with you again.
So I've been in this continuing care field for over 30 years. And these communities, our communities, are incredible hubs of talent, expertise, and potential. For me, the challenge has always been, how do we step outside our communities to make a better or bigger impact? So I'm going to go back to my phrase of being good ancestors together. What if we imagined that each of our SAFE communities made a commitment to going beyond our campuses and teaching the next generations about sustainability? We tend as communities to stay, I know we do some outreach. I'm not going to say we're not doing that. But if we really want to have an impact around sustainability, we have to get it to the next generation. And that is where I see the biggest opportunity. And I've seen it happen in other areas in my career with continuing care retirement communities. But I think there's no other that more closely aligns with our collective values than sustainability. And we have an opportunity, and I feel an obligation to take it to the next generation.
Wow, thank you, Anne. All right, Phil?
I like that answer a lot. I think one that we have really talked a lot about is we focus a lot of our efforts with sustainability conversations, development of a plan is centered around residents, our sustainability collaborative, the people that we partner with, our board. And we came to realize at actually the insistence of our residents that we weren't focusing on the staff. And not leadership staff, we're talking about line staff across the organization, really getting them, educating them, providing them context about why we are doing these things, what value does it offer to the organization, how does it build our culture, how are we giving back to the planet, and how do we give back to future generations. And so we have made some effort to do that. A small example would be we had a member of our sustainability collaborative and our resident council attend. We do town hall meetings with our staff, and they came and they spoke at all of our employee town hall meetings 1 month to really educate the staff about why this is so important to residents and why they want staff to be more engaged and involved. And so we started to make that feedback and that process more intentional as we work on our sustainability initiatives in the organization. So to me, making sure that the outreach is broader and making sure that we are engaging all people in the organization, not just the residents.
Wow, thank you. Lisa?
I love what I'm hearing, and I think I think in partnership with SAFE, I think a lot of this can come to fruition. I see it partnerships, I see advocacy, and I see collaboration with residents, staff, and leadership and board members. You know, I have 4 communities, over 500 acres of land, over 920 residents, 600 staff members, and all of us together doing what's right? Doing what's right for the community, doing what's right for the planet, doing what's right for our communities around us. So I see advocacy being a strength. But I do think there's a lot we can do internally in our own communities that can help us to even get stronger and better. And we're looking at expanding our hydroponic gardening. We're looking at further energy audits. There's more we can do with it in our internal scope that we're forcing ourselves to continue on that journey, but we need a stronger plan. So moving forward, we're really going to put some emphasis on that, and especially into our natural lands. We have so much beautiful lands and space, and planting more trees and giving back to the planet. It's more on a wider scale. Right now, we're about 80% of our carbon footprint is electricity. So, you know, we still have a ways to go, and we look at different ways in which we can improve upon that. We just got our on the final stages of our budget, and we're looking at ways to, you know, what else can we flip to electric. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's small baby steps to make a bigger impact, especially when you're such a big community. You can't just flip that switch overnight. So working together in collaboration with all, I think, is a great way. And I looked at your strategic plan and I really loved it, Michelle. I think you guys did a phenomenal job.
Oh, wow, thank you so much. It definitely took a while. All right, Glenn.
Well, yes, I've heard a lot of great things, and a lot of things are resonating and consistent with me. I think what I really so RoseVilla has an intergenerational preschool on campus. Rosebud is our preschool. And when Anne was talking, it reminded me we recently also completed a 5-year strategic plan for Rosebud with respect to what is the programming, what is the educational platform that we really want to focus on. And we really came away with, because of our environment at RoseVilla, because of our resident population that supports these efforts, we have a great opportunity to impact young children at a very early age of not only creating awareness and education, but also being exposed to an environment where it's a priority. And what does that look like day in and day out? And how does that resonate with them? And how does it resonate with our programming? So that's what I think is one of our greatest opportunities when we think about the number of children, 15 to 27 children year in and year out that will intersect with RoseVilla, and not only have it in programming, but also have the shared resident population here to support those efforts. So that's one thing. I think it's also about, Phil and others have talked about this. I think it's also reminding ourselves that in some respects, intergenerational preschool aside, all CCRCs to some degree, and in a lot of a degree, are intergenerational in and of themselves, because we have all ages of team members working in our campuses. And I think that how we build our environments, how we operate our environments, how our culture at our organization with respect to sustainability and resiliency operates really can impact our individual team members and allow them to learn some things or continue to grow in their own adaptations of sustainability efforts in their personal life. And so that has a ripple effect. And then I just think about the built environment. I feel strongly that if you're going to build responsible, and minimize your impact. And that is a great opportunity. As we all know the stressors on our industry right now. We couldn't build enough senior living if we had to, right? And so as operators and residents who currently live here, that's why I said leaving a legacy. I think we know we're going to have to build. We know the industry is going to have to continue to grow. How do we grow in a responsible way? And how do we build with ethics and responsibility of sustainability efforts in mind? And then I'm really struck. I think we have a real opportunity. We talk so much about wellness, health and well-being in senior living, and we always think of that in terms of our physical well-being, our mental well-being, all of those things. And I think that there's a part that we're really missing, and it's the idea of living in harmony with the environment, the natural environment. And there's a lot, I think we're starting to see more and more, although not always identified. I think we're starting to see more and more, especially in the younger generations, an eco-anxiety, a reality that people have fear about the future. And with the way things are going right now, that's only being exacerbated. And in our communities, when we can create and acknowledge, I think we have an opportunity to acknowledge that, create space where people can address that, talk about that, have open dialogues about that, and live in a place where that's honored and respected in the efforts that we do day in and day out.
Wow, thank you so much for these responses. It's truly inspiring, and I feel like saying to all of you, thank you for your service, because it is a lot, to do, and I'm just blown away by your responses. So we have one final question, and maybe we can do this one a little bit faster so we can get to the Q&A. And that is, how can residents or SSAFE support your sustainability goals? So Anne, let's start with you again.
I think you're already doing that. And I think having the sustainability committee that we have on Collington's campus is just an amazing gift for Collington. And I also feel then that the the connection to SAFE is very immediate and close. And so I don't have any immediate ways in which we could go beyond what we're already doing. It may be different for other communities that don't have the leadership that we have at Collington that's so close to SAFE.
All right, Phil.
The first thing I would say is, and we are doing a lot of it already, but I think one thing I'm a big proponent of is always sharing best practices. I think we can learn so much from each other, and there's no reason to have to start from scratch. So the more, and I think SAFE is a great venue, liaison, whatever word you want to choose, but a good gateway to be able to help us all be successful together. This isn't a competition. I mean, I think we're all doing work individually, but collectively that all goes to the same issue. And we're all doing this because of the planet, for our residents, for our organizations, and for the world. The second thing I would say that would be helpful is maybe finding ways to take a deeper dive into the mechanics and the decision making that goes behind some of these things. You know, each person, each individual, each organization has their own sort of process, but understanding sort of the decision making is really important to how you get to a result and an outcome. And part of that is just about understanding change management, which can be challenging and difficult for some organizations to sort of go through. So I think that would be a secondary area that I would say would be a good focus moving forward.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that. Lisa.
Just to continue the partnership and to continue to grow, I'm thrilled that we have 3 of our residents as board members, and they're very passionate about what they do at SAFE. And, you know, just the other day, a resident said, we walk the walk and talk the talk, from the residents, the board, and the staff. And I'm so proud that I could sit here before you and actually say that.
Wow.
The passion, the commitment, let's share what we learned from one another. Let's continue to grow, and let's continue to do the right thing. And it's not a competition, it's reality. And let's try to grow together and do the right thing for the planet.
Oh, thank you so much. Love it. Glen.
Well, I think today is a great example of the work that's being done, right? And the things, I mean, there are a lot of people in attendance today on this subject. And I think that that's, you know, creating that platform and that space for this shared conversation, I think is really valuable. Um, I said it at the beginning and I'll say it again. I think, what can residents do? You know, I welcome the idea of continuing to push the administration and push us as an organization to do these things, to do the right things. You know, it seems so strange that, you know, it's worthy, we should celebrate our successes, but it seems so strange that we have to celebrate doing the right thing in today's world, but we do. And I think that when residents are continuing to partner with us and continuing to push us and continuing to validate that these are priorities that you want us to lean into as an organization, it gives me as a CEO and certainly our administration the confidence that we're on the right track and that that's where we should continue to put our resources and our energy. So I think that those things are really important from a SAFE perspective, like creating the space where we can share this. There, you know, this is, again, this is not a competition. This is good shared work that benefits all of us. So I think that's, you know, I think you helping us create that platform, that space, that shared community benefits all of us.
Wow, thank you so much. This is such an inspiring discussion, and you've shared so many meaningful examples and ideas, and just blown away again. So